this on her first lesson would probably not have been as successful as it is now. So you mentioned the tennis balls. Does he just like not want to give them back? Is he?
Yeah, and like sometimes it's like, oh no, let him put him in the crate. But then with his stomach stuff, I'm so afraid of just getting chewing. And he really hasn't chewed, but it's just I'm not looking for more issues.
Sure. Okay.
But I'm also worried. You know, I'm really worried. I've explained to kids never take the ball out of his mouth.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's just like one thing that's come up recently.
Okay, we can work on that a little bit. Are there any other major goals that you've noticed within the past couple months that we wanted to be sure to discuss?
Oh, my other question was, so we live in a wooded area, and he does really well, and I keep the collar on him. I off-leash him because we're in the woods. No one else is in there, and I work on recall with him, and he's done really well. But is that confusing to him? Okay.
I think like it's your parameters, so come means come to me and stay with me until I release you. Okay. So just be making sure that when you say come to him, that he kind of sticks by you for a second, and if you want him to go off and smell and be a dog, you release him with okay. So come always has the same exact meaning, where he doesn't come to you, get his treat, or come to you for a split second and then kind of take off again.
Because I mean, I hate retractable leashes, but I had one for the woods, but then I'd be like the kids were running. And then he likes to, I don't know if that's a rat thing or like guard, like if I'm too far ahead or if the kids, like he just makes sure we're in the perimeter. Yeah. And then it just mentally exhausts him. Yeah. He'll sleep all day.
Yeah, I think like off-leash hiking and things especially if you have some land, is great for dogs. Okay. As long as we have that reliable recall, which seems like you do with like birds, squirrels, things that could potentially trigger him to take off. Does he do pretty well at coming back to you?
And he's just worried if I'm out of his sight, if the kids are out of his sight.
Yeah, so he doesn't want to stray far. Yeah. I think that's totally fine. And when you do go to walk him on leash, is that often that you walk him? Like take him for a walk around the neighborhood or take him anywhere?
Yeah, I mean, it's been icy, so we have a lot of older people in the neighborhood, and just my husband travels a lot in the winter, so I'm always like, what if I fall? And then, I don't want to. So I'll usually just walk him back, and then I'll just throw the tennis ball, and there's like a abandoned tennis court. Yeah. Or just to tire him out, I hike him through the snow. Okay. Yeah. So we're a little bit in the winter more off leash.
Okay. Yeah, that's totally fine. Any issues with the on leash stuff? Do you find any issues? So primarily, do you want to work on the tennis ball situation? Is there anything overarching that we want to touch base on first?
No, I think that's just been the newest thing.
Okay.
Was the tennis ball that I could see. And then the one time I was on ice and he saw this other dog and pulled, so I dropped the leash because I was skating. Yeah. And he just went and he just sat next to the other dog. So
did you just want a friend? Yeah. Situations like that can be really scary because it's like we either get dragged down or we let go. And in that instance, you had to let go, and I'm happy nothing happened. But I definitely, if you're in a position, try to avoid having him approach other dogs. Like if we have our secondary e-collar, if our leash isn't goes away or he takes off, that we could still use that recall in that moment.
Yeah, it was like one where I didn't have his collar.
It's always the moments when we're not prepared for that our dogs act a fool, and then we have no way to correct them, and we're like, damn, that would have been a good opportunity. So I'm interested in teaching him an out. I have a tennis ball, but generally when we're teaching an out, we want to go with a rope toy, something that we can easily grip. I don't know if he'll have any interest in this, but we'll certainly try. Come here, bud. What is this? He said, oh, hell no. What is that? Can you get it? Patrick, come here. Does he play mostly like a keep away game with his toys, or?
Yeah, he just wants it, like he'll take it to his bed.
Patrick. So teaching it out, essentially, like if we're gonna teach it on a tug toy, I don't wanna use a lot of correction at all if the play is healthy and he's not being too aggressive or too overbearing. And the way we would teach it is if we got him to tug on this. It's more difficult with a tennis ball, but with a tug toy, if we can get him interested in a rope toy, something else, then we have handles on it and we can kind of control more of the game. Whereas his game is like take the tennis ball and run away and maybe get weird about it if the kids come over. we can give him an out command, the toy stops being fun, and he learns that it doesn't re-engage until we say that he can have it. Come here, bud. Patrick, drop. Good. Here. Drop. Good. So I'm picking a word that I want him to do, and when he's kind of dropping it before I am saying it, but I'm kind of making an association with him dropping the toy. I don't want to get into a point where I'm trading him like a treat for a toy.
Yeah,
I just want him to learn. Yeah. I want him to learn to kind of disengage without being bribed. Drop. Good. No. Come here. Patrick. Drop. Oh, yes. So I know, I was just kind of exploring different things. So the traditional way we would teach it with a dog with high toy drive, which he doesn't have a ton of tug drive, is that we wouldn't use a lot of corrections if the play was healthy and he didn't get too jacked up. But here, since we have children involved, I am offering a small correction if he doesn't drop it.
Okay.
Patrick, drop. Good. Just so we have like one rule, and that's like if we need him to disengage from the ball. So generally, if he has a ball and he's playing with it, I would just use drop it or out, whatever word, just use it consistently, and give him a correction if he doesn't spit it out, and we can remove it if we're done with his play time. I was having him sit to just add a little bit of structure into the play. I don't want to completely take over and micromanage the way he's playing, but I want it to be in a safe, productive manner that you can enjoy, and the kids don't have to be involved in it by any means, but they should feel like if his tennis ball's on the ground that they can get up, or if he's still working on it, you go to the kitchen to get something, he spits it out and then one of them tries to take it, we can see conflict there. So just monitor his play like as you already are, and just have an adult present when his tennis ball is out. If we can't get him to spit it out, we'll tell him no, correct, and drop it or out again. No.
And that's what he kind of just does with the tennis ball anyways. It's just like take it to his bed and play with it.
I just want to be sure that I'm able to go over, approach, and get it without any conflict where he's not being weird with me. And in his bed, he might, like you said, in the past, he's been slightly protective of his bed if he has an object he desires over there. So if you can manage play, I'd make play like either outside or in the house for 15, 20 minutes after we're done playing, the tennis ball goes up. So we're still having the tennis ball be exciting without him going over and chewing pieces of it or taking it back to his bed and like gatekeeping it from everybody in the family.
That's what he's doing, is gatekeeping.
Yeah, because it's not fun for him anymore to guard something when he perceives as something high value to him. And then everybody has to kind of tiptoe around that. We want to make sure like play is just like still fun for him, but we're in control of it, right? Do you do that with your little paw a lot? His crossing
He
and
does that a lot.
just the tennis ball aspect makes sense though, like start structuring out like 15 to 20 minutes to play with him.
Yeah, and I'll send you a video.
Yeah.
So we'll work on that.
So adding more structure around game time. I'd like him to bring the toy to me. I don't want to have to go and chase it. I'm doing it here a little bit to engage him in play, but I don't want to always have to like hunt you down to go, so you can use your come, and then when he comes to you, you can have him drop it. And you can kind of tell him, come.
Come, drop.
Nice.
Good boy.
I would spend the next couple days having the e-collar on and ready and greet him. And I know it's hard when your dogs are excited to feel like you have to step in and like be the jerk. Yeah. But I'd mark anytime his teeth touch you with no and correct. It is an affectionate thing. I don't think he's trying to be aggressive. But obviously if a tooth snags one of the kids' hands or your hand even, it's going to be pretty painful.
Did he do that when he greeted you? Did you notice?
He did not,
Okay.
no.
He knew better.
Yeah. But I tried to make like a specific thing that he's doing, mark with that no in the moment, and then grab my collar and give him the correction. So he's associating what he did with the moment with hearing no, which buys us the time to give us the correction. He just gets really excited. Are those times like when you come home from somewhere?
Or my husband, after being on the road.
Do you feel like at that moment you come in and are you trying to be calm, or are you like giving it back to him and you're like, buddy, I love you?
I give it back to him, but
Sure.
and then the voice in my head is like, what are you doing? You know better.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
the voices in my head.
it's not wrong to be excited to see your dog, and it's not wrong to want to be affectionate with your dog, but starting to pinpoint when that affection is giving is crucial. So if I have to walk in the door in the first 10 minutes until he chills out a little bit, try your hardest with your impulse control to kind of ignore him, keep the greeting super, super light, and then once he's settled down and he's in a healthier state of mind, we can give him love and affection then. It's more beneficial to both of us, because then if we greet him, we're really excited, and he snags us with his tooth or takes it too far, then we leave frustrated. So I'd challenge yourself this week that when you go home, first 10 to 15 minutes, wait until he's calm. And then it can be a love fest if you'd like him to. Because he is so cute. I can understand like him coming in the door, like you coming in the door, him being so happy would be really difficult to just be like, I'm gonna ignore your existence. I mean, it's hard, like we're human and we wanna love our dogs, and we've been away from them and they've been separated from us. Of course, it's natural that we wanna say hi. So it's not wrong, but it can lead to a little bit too much excitement. Right, buddy? He said, I have never been excited a day in my life. Yeah.
See, he's so picky about toys.
Yeah. I wish we had like a traditional fluffy green one, but you can even send me a video of how the playtime is going. So I'd throw it for him, tell him to come. When he gets to you, tell him to drop, and wait until you have the ball. Sometimes I'll give a sit command if I'm feeling like I want to add more structure into the play, but I'll always say okay before I throw, because at this point I don't want to mess too much with like correcting the crap out of him if he goes for the ball without me saying okay. I still want to make play fun. I still want to make it engaging. Doesn't seem like he has a lot of stamina with play. Correct me if I'm wrong, even at home. Do you feel like you can throw it a couple times and then the game ends, or do you think he could go for hours?
No, I mean, I think it just depends. Like, like, usually if I board him, I know that, he'll sleep. He'll sleep for the next 2 days. So,
Yeah.
But I don't know, we're outside a lot.
Yeah, so he's got a lot of mental stimulation, a lot of activity.
Yeah.
So,
I just hate the cold, so.
yeah.
When it's snowing, I'm like, oh, here's food puzzle.
Yeah, I mean, you do what you can to survive the winter, especially out there. You're in Indiana, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It must be snowy out there, especially if you have a little bit of land, too. I would never leave my property if I had like a wooded area to enjoy.
So, and then this year, because that incident happened with the snarl on the boat, so he's not to be on the seat. We have so many cute pictures of him on the seat.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because when we're sharing a space with a dog that's resource guarding, whether it's you or the seat or being at an elevated surface, and we want kids to be able to enjoy the boat, we don't want to have to manage the kids and be like, you can't jump on the seats, you can't get on the seats, you have to be careful. Because a child just doesn't have that self-awareness just yet, and you want them to enjoy the boat without feeling like we have to avoid Patrick completely. So if we keep him off of the seat in that instance, we are kind of having a benefit outweigh the risk. So the risk is that he could very easily resource guard. One of the kids could just plop down next to him and he could take that as a threat and bite them. So there's not a lot of benefit for him being on the seat. Besides, he likes it and we feel like, oh, he looks so cute, and we like it. So it's okay to put him on the floor and put him into a downstay, and then you can more easily direct the kids, be like, hey, let's not go over that side of the boat while Patrick's there. And he can still enjoy the boat, but not having to be on the seat. I mean, I think it's a good practice, like, to get a dog desensitized, but there's always gonna be a moment, like if a child is petting them, that they could feel threatened and act out. And we're wanting to mitigate those situations by reducing, like management-wise, from a management standpoint, trying to keep him away from unsupervised children. But
They're just people.
yeah,
I just say he's in training. So.
yeah. And it's okay to tell people they can't pet him, even if it's somebody that he knows or your kids, or just say, not right now. I'm very happy with everything in his training, even in his boarding enrichment. He is nailing everything.
Good boy.
Did very, very well for handling in his bath, so I'm seeing huge improvements in him. And it's nice that he can come to the place and have the same structure, and he falls exactly back into line of what he was like when his board and train. How's the week been going?
It's alright.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only really thing I'm confused about is like when I should let him like go on his own and like sniff around. Mm-hmm. I still want to give him a chance to like explore the outside, you know?
Yeah.
So like whenever I come to a grassy area, like I'll just let him do his thing. But I don't say anything or anything, and I'll just and then I just make him come back whenever it's time to go, you know?
Yeah. That's precisely exactly how we do it. Like, we're not anti-sniff, but we want to offer a couple sniffing opportunities on the walk. We just don't want the dog to get distracted by trying to sniff every pole. So exactly what you're doing, I'd go up to the patch of grass and just say, okay. And then when you say, okay, that's his time to be free and go to the bathroom. And then when we say, come again, that's us starting the walking and starting the structure of everything. Bed. Good. Yeah, so I'm going to start to name it now that he has a good understanding of it. Okay? And it's like the same principle as sit, where I'm going to give him a correction if he comes off of it before I say okay, but I want to build his duration on it slowly. He's just a young puppy, so he doesn't need to do like 30 minutes or an hour at this stage, but little incremental bed stays. Like, I can start with 5 to 10 minutes with a puppy, and in that 5 to 10 minute span, I'm looking for him to stay on the bed that entire time. Okay? Come on. Come on, little puppy. Come on, pup. Bed. Good. I want to start to see that he's having enough of an understanding and confidence in the command that he's able to move slightly away from me, and I don't have to stand right near the bed and really show him. I want him to be able to start to figure it out. Okay? Bed. Good. Okay? I mean, the treat pattern is important. Bed. Good. But I could also alternatively not reward him with food every time, but we want to work with his food motivation. No. Bed. And there's nothing wrong with really getting the basics down with a lot of positive reinforcement. So I'm not bribing him, I'm not luring him onto the bed where he needs the food. It's coming after the fact. Good. I don't have to give food every single rep, though. Yeah. Okay. Come on. Yeah, he's very food motivated, which is like beautiful thing in dog training. Bed. Good. So once they figure out the game, what can I do to get the reward? Of course, they're going to start anticipating and going toward it. But I don't want that to be confused with me having to bribe him and he only listens to me if I have food. So walks have been good. The sit in the house has been good. Anything else that we want to start to make sure that we're touching base on?
Running outside the door.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's just like something I should like get a grip on now.
Yes.
I wanted to be off leash. I was like a little bit. So I don't know, how long do you think it'll be till you think that's possible?
I think it's possible to have him off leash, but it will be contingent on how consistent we are with reinforcing off leash reliability outside of training. So I'll give you all the tools to show you exactly how to get there, but we have to stay super, super consistent, especially outside with his recall. And a safety net for a long time, I think, is a long leash. So as we're teaching him and we're putting him into new environments that are challenging him, we want to have maybe a 15 to 20 foot line the first couple times. I definitely think off leash is possible for him, and it will open up a lot of opportunities to train him. Bed. We just want to proof him into multiple different environments if we want to have that goal. So it's one thing to do it in your yard or your neighborhood, but we need to start doing off-leash sessions or long line sessions at the park, at our family's house, wherever you travel with him typically, so we can generalize his recall to many, many different places. So we don't run into like he sees a squirrel and chases after it, or a deer. With a little puppy, like we want to make sure that they're growing up in a really structured way, and only you can know when you feel truly ready to drop the leash altogether, and that would be if we have a pattern of consistency with a reliable recall. Bed? Good. So the no I'm starting to implement is marking that he's made the mistake, giving him the correction, and then asking for the command again. But I'm identifying the mistake of not getting on the bed to him pretty quickly. No. Bed. Good. So he's having some clarity. We're offering what the mistake was and helping guide him to what we want him to do. And we'll start pushing a lot of these commands once he gets them down around distraction, so around other dogs.
There's gonna be like other dogs in here?
Yeah. So eventually getting him to the point where we could even work in our other facility where there's a lot going on, but we need him to nail, no, bed, and have a very good understanding of certain concepts. So that could be our sit, that could be our bed. And with a small puppy like this, you could see so easily distracted by things. So building duration this week will be kind of essential to building blocks of our next steps here. Good. Okay? Come on, pup. So I'm giving him the correction. If he gets off the bed, we're at a level 10, single tap, so pressing one time, not pressing and holding. I'm gonna start, no, bed, challenging him a little bit by dropping the leash. It seems to be his biggest trigger. Once that leash is dropped, he's like, all right, I'm out of the command. So I'm not necessarily creating a ton of space, still staying in his bubble. And then when I go to pick the leash up, I want to fully be able to pick it up and that not be a release. And I can reinforce with good without releasing. No. Bed, come on. Good. So sometimes when he gets the good, he thinks that that's the command is done, and I want him to really learn that good means keep doing it, I like what you're doing, wait for the release. So I can kind of periodically reinforce him staying on the bed. Good. And still mean, after the treat process has happened, that I still mean stay. Good. Okay, come on. So since it's all so new to him, we want to kind of control the environment we're doing it in and try to do it in a more calm environment when you're at home, on leash, until we start to really see that he has a good understanding of it and that he's staying on the bed without getting off a lot or getting bored. And then once we get that nailed down, we're going to add distractions in. So you can do it outside. We can do it around other dogs. He's just got to get these like basic things down. Good. Ready? Bed. Good. So over the next week, I'd like to see you work a lot with like food and getting him on and off the bed, and I want him to look pumped going on and off the bed. So I really want him to start to associate bed with the reward. I know we're gonna fade the food eventually, but with a dog like this, it's so engaged and so motivated, we need to capitalize on that, okay? Hello. Come on, bud. Bed. Good. Come on. Bed. Good. Next couple sessions, I'd take a bunch of his food, get him to go on and off the bed and get him pumped about it, make it an exciting session. He gets the reward when he gets on, and he's building a lot of good association with the bed. It could be anything high value, his treats or his kibble, whatever you want to work with. Get him to be very confident going on and off, just as he is pretty confident in his ability to sit. I just want him to start to master this as we're going to add more time on. And he's getting a little frustrated, you can see, because we're having him stay on. So he's like huffing and puffing, and it's just kind of working him through this slight duration. So I start for about a minute, 2 minutes of the amount of time he's on the bed. And I'm at a level 10. If his paw gets on the floor, I just mark with no, give him a correction, and then guide him back on. More, buddy. Bed. Good. I want him to feel really like happy doing it. So I should start to see him like shoot onto that bed and be so pumped for getting his reward. And you can do that just like you and him sitting on the floor together. I think you have a really good relationship with him. And again, like we will fade the constant use of food, but it's just so magical to be able to use food and build that connection with him. I try to bring some of his toys next week too. I want to still make things really fun for him, but work on the beds, work on like sits and being able to walk around like you already have, and get him to have just a really good understanding of starting to build duration so he can feel a little bit less antsy in the positions. So let's say like our goal would be to get to a 5-minute bed stay this week, even if you had to sit on your couch and your bed is right under it. Just starting to give him some separation. Would you say consistently, like, you're seeing an improvement in the dog reactivity, or do you still feel like you have episodes?
She's definitely been doing much better.
Nice. And being able to pass dogs like we did last week? Perfect.
Yeah, we've passed several, like, across the street.
Okay.
Without, like, she'll look, but we haven't had any freakouts or anything.
Nice.
It's been very good.
Okay. And in the house, how have your commands
We've
gone?
been working on the prolonged stays
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and that's working.
Yeah?
Mailbox is still 50-50.
Yeah. So when you go to the mailbox, she wants to come out with you, and she's, okay.
She doesn't like the idea of me leaving the
Okay.
house without her.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely work on drills like that. So when you're going to get your mail, the problem, you're parking her, let's say, you start with parking her on the bed, and then is it you going toward the door that she's like, I'm going with you, Mom? Okay. I'd start to, I think, in the next 3 or 4 days, we can really get her listening. And it would just be getting her on the bed and then setting up the scenario that you're gonna start to walk toward the door and touch it. And then in that process, we'll break the process down. And then when the excitement of you just going to touch the door ends, we can open the door and then start to step out of it, incrementally making sure she's on her bed and breaking it down for her into small baby steps that she can really understand, rather than like putting her on the bed going fully for the mail and she's like, where the heck did my mom go? And she wants to be kind of right behind you. And I want you to just kind of walk toward the door slightly, maybe halfway toward the room, and then turn around and tell her good, and walk back to her. So I want you to start to do that a couple more times as you're inching toward the door to get her a little bit more attuned to staying on the bed and realizing you're gonna come back with that reward. Nice. Oh. We can say good, but we'll try to save the excitement party for when we get back to her. And her starting to get used to the picture of you walking away and still feeling secure that you're gonna come back, I think is a really good drill. Now you can kind of go up to the door and touch the handle. Mark with good. And walk back to her, give her a reward. Nice. And do that same thing again. And you can kind of even slightly open the door. Excellent. Mark with good. You did it. And try the same thing again. And one more time. She does have the temptation. Good. Excellent. How does that feel toward you to start to break it down into simpler steps? Good. I think with her, if we try to go at a basis of like doing very, very firm corrections, it doesn't work as well for her unless we break it down and kind of incrementally show her what we'd like her to do. And remember, anytime she gets off the bed, to mark with no, to identify this mistake, to make it more clear to her and give her that correction. In the process of you getting the mail, I think in the next 3 or 4 days, you could get a big headway on that and be able to go and get your mail fully without having to worry she's going to slip behind you. This on her first lesson would probably not have been as successful as it is now. So it's excellent you're putting in the work. The positioning is starting to look really good. I just take any opportunity, like I know she had to poop there, but any opportunity of her starting to leave, especially when you're with another dog. We'll come to a stop. You can go ahead and put her into a sit. Come. I'm just going to walk Winnie around here. Come. And there's nothing wrong with rewarding her often, but I'd almost be interested in if we could start rewarding her at really pinnacle times, rather than kind of flooding her with treats the entire time. I don't want the treats to become why she's listening or a distraction. Sit. Good. I want them to be kind of more mindfully done, so she's really understanding what she's being rewarded for, as opposed to like feeding her constantly. She can never really pinpoint. Okay. Good. Winnie, sit. Good. Excellent. We'll just let the girls chill out.
No, sit.
Perfect. Good job, Mom. Kind of practice just like ignoring her for a second, because she needs like constant reinforcement from you, and we want her just to be able to chill. Come. girl. Sit. Good. Excellent. If you want to go ahead, release her and park her into another sit somewhere else. Come. And we're going to walk on by again. So we're getting her to do easy commands and just kind of upping the ante behind the distraction. She's completely engaged with you. She's looking at you, which is excellent. Sit. Good. Okay. Sit. The purpose of like having me have you ignore her for a little is just that she's not so demanding of your attention that when she doesn't get it, she starts to fault in her commands because she's like, this isn't working, Mom's not paying attention. And I want her to have longer periods of time where no stimuli is happening and the only rule is just sit. Doesn't mean we can't reward her when she does well, but I don't want it to blend too much together that she's not understanding at what point she's doing really well. Excellent. If you want to release her and kind of walk around us as we sit. This is awesome, Nova. And she's a lot more focused on Mom rather than the other dog. Nice. Excellent, girl. Beautiful. And times that you could look for opportunities to reward her is as you're passing, if she makes eye contact with you, you can mark with good and give her a reward to kind of keep that focus on you. And in her sit, if a dog is passing and she's doing it successfully, reward her for those moments. Winnie, sit. Good. Perfect. All right, I'll go ahead and have you pop her into one more sit. Excellent. And tell her good and reward her for that. So I'm noticing a big improvement with the outside stuff, the walking with the other dogs and being around other dogs. Her first session, she was going bonkers. Even her second session when that dog was kind of outside of the gate. So to see this is really good. I continue working on her walk and just making it a little bit more challenging by maybe going somewhere a little bit more busy. No, sit. And helping her do her simple tasks in a more challenging way. The beds, I'd work on getting to the mailbox if you can this week. Break it down incrementally, use a ton of food. When you go out of the door and you have success, mark with good, remember go back to her and have a big party when you actually get back to her. She's doing really well. I know the lesson started off a little rocky with her giving me some resistance, but I'm not terribly worried about that. She's just like, you're not my mom and you're telling me to do things and I'm a little nervous. How do you feel about today's session? Yeah. I can see your confidence coming up a little bit too. So I say all these things to help better her, not like I don't want to change the things that you've been doing, but I definitely want to make improvements with her.
Absolutely.
What's up, YouTube? We just wrapped up that session with Nova, and we saw throughout the course of the session a little resistance happening when the release came within the command. So Nova is dealing with a little bit of separation anxiety from mom. So when I took the reins, she had a more difficult time working with me and engaging with me, especially when mom was in the corner and all she could think about was getting over to mom. So as you could see in the clip, we worked bed stays, so getting on and off of the bed, dropping the leash, walking away. We found our biggest issue was when we went to go release her, she refused to get off the bed. She was very resistant. We get this question a lot. When I say, okay, my dog doesn't move, what do we do? If we're working in the home, I just say okay once, and okay is the release of the command. So it doesn't really matter to me if the dog is laying in the bed. There's no expectation with okay. If I'm trying to bust out a lot of reps, as we were in today's session, I'm just going to use some leash pressure to guide her off the bed and kind of make it exciting, try to use movement backwards to entice her to come off. I'm not giving her any additional commands, and then guiding her on and off a couple of times until she can do it a little bit more smoothly. Sometimes in the teaching process, we can see that the dog has a difficult time understanding the release once they get on the bed, and we're teaching them, go to this bed and stay there. So when we say okay, they can be a little bit uncertain of if they're actually released, as you saw. Because we're trying to do a lot of reps within an hour period of Nova's lesson, we had to get her on and off of the bed smoothly. So I began just providing a little leash pressure until she stepped off, using a lot of momentum, a lot of excitement. In a typical house setting, I wouldn't do that. I would just let the okay go if I'm not working on it long term. So in the bed teaching process, I want to set up it being the dog learning how to get the reward by going onto the bed. So the dog gets on the bed, I mark with good, and we reward. I want to start to see the confidence in the dog, understanding that the correlation of getting on the bed equals reward, and that if we're working to the point of adding corrections in, that we can also apply those. But for the most part, I'm looking for that confidence, getting on and off of the bed, the dog being sure of the answer rather than being really hesitant. So that a lot of times comes down to our markers and our timing with food and utilizing treats or higher value things within our training. In Nova's case today, she got on the bed. She knows that's the place to get the reward. So she was hesitant to come off if she thinks, oh, I could just stay here and keep getting fed. So we used a little bit of drilling that exact scenario to get her to kind of do it smoothly and see some improvement from the start of the session.